Trust and believe, dance and be free. Jump in, jump in. Da, 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 There is peace, there is joy, there are pleasures evermore at the river. At the river. You'll find love, you'll find grace when we come to see His face. At the river. Trust and believe, dance and be free. Jump in. Trust and believe, dance and be free. Jump in. Bring your worries, bring your cares. You can leave your burdens there at the river. Get what you need. Trade your sorrows and your pain. There is freedom in His name at the river. Trust and believe, dance and be free. Trust and believe, dance and be free. Jump in. The water's troubled. All you gotta do is step in, jump in, dive in. It's safe. The river, just jump in. You gotta jump in. The river, just jump in. Whatever you need, just jump in. The river, just jump in.
Good evening, everyone. It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. It's time for the deep dive. I'm your boy, Pastor Justin. That's your girl, Pastor Denisha, and we are here again for another Thursday, for another round of the Word. If you have not already, we want you to like, share, and subscribe. Invite somebody in. Let them know it's time for Bible study. Get your pads, get your tablets, get your crayons, pencils, your paper, colored markers, whatever you got. Colored markers. Yeah, because black is just permanent. Get it all. Get it all and get ready to take nap. So I do. I'm tired. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. It's time to get into the Word. We have we're on now in the third month of the year. It feels like it's been longer than that. I keep wanting to say it's like the middle of the month because it feels like that. But God is still good and He's still moving. So we have been fortunate enough to hear a lot of feedback about February, and this is how we love, and it has been very encouraging. So for those who have given us feedback, I want to say thank you because it's been very encouraging to us. And we have we've even started to get feedback for this month already, which is great because it's only been one week. So that's amazing. And so just to let y'all know, that encourages us too. So we are grateful as we're pouring out to you all. You guys are that's definitely pouring into us. So we want to get into this word so we can pour more into you and we can get after it. So let's go.
All right. So last week we started our conversation on get after it. Let's go to Numbers, the 13th chapter. We're going to start at the 25th verse. Last week we started at verse 30, but we're going to start at verse 25 today, just to back up for, as my daddy would say, back up for a running start. So let's jump in. So we're going to read from the easy to read version. Verse 25, it says, the men explored that country for 40 days, and then they went back to the camp. Verse 26, the Israelites camped near Kadesh in the desert of Paran. The men went to Moses and Aaron and all the Israelites. They told Moses, Aaron, and all the people what they saw and showed them the fruit from the land. Verse 27, then the men told Moses, we went to the land where you sent us. It is a land filled with many good things. Here is some of the fruit that grows there. Verse 28, but the people living there are very powerful. The cities are very large and strongly defended. We even saw some Anakites there. The Amalekites live in the Negev. The Hittites, the Jebusites, and the Amorites live in the hill country. The Canaanites live near the sea and by the Jordan River. Verse 29, right? In verse 30, it says, Caleb told the people near Moses to be quiet. Then Caleb said, we should go up and take that land for ourselves. We can easily take that land. Let's read verse 30 in another translation. In the Amplified Bible, it says, then Caleb quieted the people before Moses and said, let us go up at once and take possession of it, for we will certainly conquer it.
Certainly.
And one more translations in the Message Bible, it says, Caleb interrupted, called for silence before Moses and said, let's go up and take the land now. We can do it.
Yeah, buddy.
And so our conversation this month, our theme for the month is get after it. Get after it. Somebody put that in the chat. Get after it. Say it to yourself. Get after it. And even if you're with someone, watching with someone, look at them and say, get after it. Get after it. And on Sunday, we talked about another part of this story, but we picked it up in Joshua 1, and we talked about Joshua when he's getting ready to actually get after it, and how God told him, get up.
Yeah.
Right? He was mourning. He says, get up. Right? And so for many of us, before we can even think about pursuing, we have to take some inventory about where we are.
Right.
And for some of us, we've been down too long. Right? So even when I was saying, if you're with someone, look at them and say, get after it. Sometimes that first step is to get up.
Right.
Where I am and where I'm trying to go, I'm never going to get there if I don't get up. One of the things that I hear all the time, or I say to myself, like, if I'm laying around and I know I've got things to do, I'd be like, let me get myself up. Let me get up. Let me get out of this bed.
Yeah.
Because the longer I lay here, the longer or the less likely it will be that I'm actually going to do the thing that I know I need to do.
Yeah.
Let me get up. Let me get dressed. Let me get my day started. Let me get up.
We talked about that just a few minutes ago.
Oh, yeah.
We was literally talking about this a few minutes ago.
Right? And you know, all the things that can be enticing to keep you sitting down or keep you standing in bed. Like for me, one of the things that's enticing is it's generally cold outside of the covers.
Mm-hmm.
And if I had to get outside of the covers, it's like I'm not ready to do that. I'm not ready to go and be an adult just yet.
Look.
As you were talking about, if being cuddled, you like you don't want to get out of that.
That's
Like
right.
there are reasons and there are things that might make it more comfortable to stay where we are.
Right.
Doesn't mean that's where we're supposed to stay.
I like that.
That was good.
That was
yeah.
good because what it made me just think about is how it is a challenge
Mm-hmm.
and a decision and a choice we have to make to step out
Mm-hmm.
of that comfortable place, to step out of that comfortable position. Because if we don't make that one step, we can't really be getting after it.
So we have to choose to walk away what's either comforting
Yeah.
or comfortable,
Yeah.
right? Or accommodating,
That's an even better word. Yeah.
right? To get after. And it was funny as you were telling me a story about how it's hard to get up. I was like, "Get your butt up," because in my mind, if we don't get up, we don't work, we don't have money, right? So like, you have to even weigh out what's in front of you, of why I got to even get up,
Right.
right? Like,
the
because
motivation.
sometimes I'd be like, I think I can cancel this meeting today. I should cancel this today. And then when I think about what's on the other side of that cancellation, I'm like, nah, Denisha, get yourself up. You know, is sleeping worth this amount of money that I would make if I get up and go to work? Right? So you have to make some choices. And even then, it's not like it's easy to get up when we know we're heading to Disney World today.
Right.
Because there's some fun thing. But if there's no fun thing, like, or it looks like it's going to be struggle, or if it looks like it's going to be more challenges, it may be easier to just sit back.
Right.
But as God said to Joshua, he says to us today, get up, because you got some stuff to do. And so we're backing up into in Bible class and in the deep dive to look at Numbers, which in chronological order comes before Joshua, right? So this is the first time that the children of Israel they're right at the border of going into the Canaan or the promised land or the land of Canaan. And Moses sends them out under the instruction of God to send some people out to go check out the land.
Right.
I liken this to back home in Cincinnati, we had this thing called Homerama, where you could just go and look at houses and different builders and designers, architects, interior designers. They would set up these like model homes, or even people would decorate their homes and people could come in and look. And so it's a thing to do usually around the springtime, and people just drive around, and wherever the location is, you just go to see all the houses in the neighborhood. And it's usually to inspire people about what they could do with their decorations, or if they went with this type of builder, this is the type of house you could have. And so it's a really great thing, and people loved it, especially when maybe couples or families are looking for a new home, or they want to buy a new home. You go to Homerama and you just drive around to see what the possibilities are, right? To see what the opportunities are. And I'm thinking about our conversation we had last March, and Sister Shalane had that mic drop moment when she was talking about the tournament, and how even if you don't win the tournament, you have an exposure to victory. You see what it's like to be on the big stage. You see what it's like to be on ESPN Sports. You see what it's like to be with these players. Maybe your team is like the 24th seed, but you see what it's like to be out there with the big dogs. Even if you don't win, you get an exposure to the victory. Homerama is kind of like that, right? Even if you don't have a house right now, you get exposure to what is possible. And even when people are playing, and one of my favorite things to do is to drive around and just look at houses, and you get some ideas, some inspiration, some encouragement. And for some people, we don't even have to drive around. Just turn on HGTV. Sometimes the more I watch HGTV, the more of an itch I get, like, ooh, I want to redecorate. And ooh, I want to change this. And ooh, I want to make sure we have this type of feature in our home. That's the power of vision. And we even talked on Sunday about Proverbs 29, where it says, where there's no vision, people perish. Or where there's no open revelation, people stumble all over themselves. right? If I know what the vision is or what the outcome is, then it's easier for me to make a plan to get there. Right? Think about maybe a woman who is getting married and she's got this wedding dress. And she knows she's got to fit into this wedding dress.
Yeah.
So maybe the wedding is still 6 months away, but it gives her the energy or the inspiration to go to the gym, to keep eating right, to say no to the extra cupcake. Like, hey, on the wedding day, I can have all the cake I want, but right now, no cake, because I got to get in this dress.
Yeah.
That's the power of vision. When you have a plan, when you have a goal, it inspires you to have actions that will allow you to meet that goal. Right? And so when the Bible says where there's no vision, people perish, or where there's no open revelation, where there's no goal, people cast off restraints.
Yeah.
They don't even try. They don't, I'm eating whatever I want to eat. I'm drinking whatever I want to drink, laying around, not exercising. When I don't have anything to do, there's no let me get up.
Right. Get up and go.
Right? So when I know I have a full schedule, or when I know I have money to make, and I know I want to go on that vacation in 6 months, so I can't call off today.
Right.
That's why I say, let me get on up. Right? So because we know, and God knows the way we're created, that we need vision, God tells Moses in verses 1-3 of this chapter to get people, to pick one person from each of the 12 tribes to go and look at the land. Right? Go look it out. Go check it out. Now, one of the things God told me yesterday, he says, I wasn't sending them to see if they could do it. I was sending them to see what I was giving them.
Right.
So when you read the first 3 verses of the chapter, and Moses gets the instructions to tell 12 leaders from each of the tribes to go on this journey, to go riding around, to go explore. It wasn't go assess it and see in your strength if you can do it.
Right.
It was, I hope, or I want you to be inspired by what I said I was going to give to you.
Yeah.
Right? God gave me a message years ago called Watch Where You're Going. And it was funny because it was when I first met Pastor Kimasha. And God took me to the first chapters in Luke 1 and 2, the first 2 chapters of Luke, where Mary received the information from the angel that she was going to bring the Messiah. And again, here's this 14, 15-year-old girl, like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I'm the one. Women for centuries have been hopeful that they would be the one. And so the angel comes and says, blessed and highly favored of you among all women. And she like, what are you talking about? Who are you talking to? And he says that you're going to bring forth the Messiah. She says, how's this going to be? He said, that holy thing in you, the Holy Ghost is going to overshadow you and bring it forth. And I love it. And he said, and it's the same way with your cousin Elizabeth, who was called barren. Now that who was called barren can preach a whole series. We ain't going to do that today. But she used to be called barren, but she's not anymore because of what God has done in her. And he says the same way that this is happening with you, it's happening with your cousin. So she leaves and goes to spend some time with her cousin. And when she walks into Elizabeth's house, John the Baptist leaps in Elizabeth's womb when Elizabeth and him hear Mary's, hey y'all, I'm here. Her salutation, her greeting. And so what God does for us is he puts people in front of us so we can see where we're going.
Yeah.
So a lot of times people say, watch where you're going. It's an indication. It's some kind of rebuke. It's a warning. It's a chastisement or a castigation. Watch where you going. Watch where you going. But the Father says to us, watch where you're going. I'm putting people in front of you to see where you're going. And just like we talked about the exposure to victory, you're seeing these players be successful, which shows you that you can be successful. God gives us mentors and role models, and he allows people to be in our path, not to evoke jealousy. Right. And if we're not careful or if we're immature, we'll look at certain people and become jealous of what they have. Instead of realizing God is putting these people in front of you so you can see what you can get.
That's right.
Because the same God, the Bible says he's no respecter of person. He's the same God who did it for this person is the same God who can do it for you.
Right.
So if you're seeing people in front of you, he's generally showing you where you're going.
Right.
And he says, watch where you're going. So he sends, did you want to add anything?
No, go ahead.
Okay. So he sends these 12, Moses, by direction of God, sends these 12 to go spy out a land that they've been hearing about for 40 years in the wilderness, let alone however long before they left Egypt. Right? We know God is going to do this. God is going to visit us. Joseph even told them, when y'all leave, carry my bones with you. Don't leave me here, because I know God's going to visit you.
Right. Right.
So they've been hearing about the promises of God for a long time. And so now they're on the cusp. They're about to cross over the border into that territory, that country, that region. And these 12 individuals, we call them or identify them as spies, they go out and explore. And again, God was sending them to show them what he was giving them. You've been hearing about it, this land that flow with milk and honey.
Right.
Go see the accuracy of the word.
Yeah.
Not assess, can you get it? Can you actually have it? No, assess the accuracy of what God told you was going to be where he was going to take you. Now, the question here and the challenge here is, what is the condition of your heart that's going to impact the condition of your eyes? Because the Bible says like this, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks.
Yeah.
And I would imagine, this is the gospel according to Tanisha, out of the abundance of the heart, it affects what the eyes see.
Absolutely.
Right? So if I don't see, if I don't have faith in my heart, I'm not going to see with the eyes of faith.
Right.
If I've got doubt in my heart, I'm going to see with the eyes of doubt. If I've got faith in my heart, I'm going to see all of the opportunities.
Right.
If I've got doubt in my heart, I'm going to see all of the obstacles.
Yep.
So then here comes somebody crazy like me talking about get after it. And the people with faith are like, let's go.
Right.
But the people with doubt, like, where are we going? And why are we doing this? And what's this about? And who said? Are you sure? And it's interesting because I've been on different journeys of my life and building and doing things with people. And I've had both people be around me.
Right.
Like, let's go. It's going to be awesome. What we got to do. And other people, have you considered? And I love this because people generally do love you. And they'll use their love for you to try to talk you. Oh, you know what? We love you. And we just want to make sure that you making a good choice. I know that was your first top choice for college, but are you sure? Are you sure you're going to be able to do, like, you know, they try to use this language of love when it's really a language of doubt.
Right.
It's a language of insecurity. It's a language of defeat. It's a language of their own insecurities, right? And they try to project it through the voice of love when it's really a voice of fear. So now when we pick up with verse 25, now one of the reasons we skipped to 25 is because it just goes on to list the names of each of the people who went. Now, I think it's interesting that it lists the names of the people specifically. We're going to get to that in a minute. But I didn't want to be stumbling trying to say all those names and all those tribes. Read it on your own and stumble over the words yourself. So drop down to verse 25. That's where we pick up our text today, where it talks about what their experience was like when they were out there. Now, here's one of the things that I think is amazing to me. First of all, they explored the country for 40 days.
Right.
40 days. That is a long time to be out there and see. Right? One of the things we love to say all the times, I've seen it with my own eyes. Right? Like, it's a difference to hear about it and people say, I ain't telling you something I heard, I'm telling you something I know.
Right.
They were there for 40 days. That's the same amount of time Jesus was in the wilderness with the devil being. That was the same amount of time Moses was in the mountain with God. They were there for 40 days. They were doing a thorough exploration, a thorough investigation. And so when they come back to the camp, it's interesting because Moses is there, Aaron's there, and all the Israelites. One of the things we need to remember in this season is our words are going to influence a lot of people. Because it's not like Moses, Aaron, and the 12 people who went were all talking. So it's just 14 of them. It's millions of people. And the Bible says it like this. They gave an evil report. So millions of people heard this evil report. I don't know. I think, and this is just my Holy Ghost imagination here, I think God might have been okay with the evil report only being heard by Moses and Aaron. But now millions of people are hearing what came out of their heart of doubt. Right? Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So all the doubt, all the fear, all the self-esteem issues, all the self-worth issues came out in front of these millions of people. Right? Somebody need to know. We got to check our heart. What's in our heart? And as we're in this process of getting after it, ask God to check your heart. Show you what's in your heart. And I love in Mark 9 where he says, do you believe? And the man said, Lord, I believe, but help my unbelief. He was honest. I got some doubt in here and I need you to help that part. So yeah, like 90% I want to get after it, but 10% I'm a little scared. I'm just chicken, like we talked about last week. God can help that. He can help your unbelief, especially if you're honest with him about your unbelief. But if you don't check it and you let it live and fester out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth is going to speak. And you are going to be responsible. Jesus tells us this too, that every idle word that we speak, we're going to have to give an account for it. So if you don't have enough faith to speak the right thing, have enough wisdom to be quiet,
Be slow to speak.
Be slow to speak.
There's a good reason for that. Because if you think about, if your heart is not in the right condition and it's not in the right place, what you speak, as you said, is going to influence many. And the mere fact that the thought of that, and I think if we really, really dive deep into that thought of how influential our words are, I'm sure anybody who knows a little bit of Bible, talks about the power that the tongue has and how much power it has. It can do good, it can do bad. And just that quick perspective that you have, you think about the platforms that people have. And if your heart is not in the right place and you have the platform, you can do a lot of damage or you can do a lot of good. And the beautiful thing about both of those things is when you take inventory of yourself first, so you're slow to speak, and then you, like you said about the young man talking about my unbelief, when you ask for the help before you speak, so this way what you're speaking is going to bring forth life and not death, it changes everything that happens after that. And the influence that comes behind it will also be the driving force behind what, or should I say, how they get after it, or not, because it changes the whole perspective of things.
So again, somebody needs to hear, check your heart. Ask God to help you if there's some doubt. Because again, we can join in the numbers of saying get after it, but if we really don't believe we can, you're just going to be going through the motions, right? So the children of Israel are all gathered around. They're excited. The people are back. The men are back. The explorers are back. Let's hear what they got to say. And when they show back up, it says, yeah, let me show you. They showed them what they brought back. And they said, we went to the land you sent us. Now, here's the first part. And this is part of why they get in trouble, right? We went where you told us to go. So we went to the land that God said was ours. We went. And I can imagine, what did y'all see? Did it have fruit? Yes, here's the fruit.
Right.
Let me show you. He says, we went to the land where you sent us. It is a land filled with many good things. So you mean God ain't lie?
Right.
God didn't lie? It really is there? He said, we went. We saw it. Here's the fruit we brought back. It is filled with many good things. So remember I said God was sending them to see what he was giving them. Not to see if they could handle it, if they could manage it, if they could get it. He wanted them to see what he was giving them.
Right.
Now, here's one of the things we have to also pay attention. God is not asking you, do you think you can get after it?
Right. Not at all.
Last week, we asked questions like, what do you want? What do you really want? What does God want for you? What did God say you could have? So when we say get after it, God is not saying, do you think you could handle that? Do you think this would be a good thing for your life? Do you think you can? That's not a question. It's a directive.
Right.
It's an emphatic statement. It's a command.
Command.
So when he said, go look at the land, he wasn't saying, go check it out to see if y'all really could take it.
Right.
And so now because maybe they misunderstood the assignment, they did not understand the assignment, they come back and say, yes, everything that y'all said was there is there. And here's proof. Verse 28 is where it goes bad. With one word. It's a 3-letter word. But everything is good. But it's beautiful. But look at this fruit. Ain't this good? But one of the things we say, get your butt out of here. Too often when God is challenging us, when there's opportunities in front of us, we allow the but to get in the way. Too many of us got big butts. And those aren't flattering. Big butts. They're getting in the way. Did you see it? Yes.
But.
Is there land flowing milk and honey? Yes. How was the houses? What kind of tables did they have? What kind of animals were there? Is it a desert? Is it greenery? All of this is true. But the people. We can stop right there. But the people. What are you going to tell God why you did not do what he called you to do? But the people didn't want me to do it. God, I know you called me to start my own business, but the people didn't think I could and they wouldn't give me a loan. I know you told me to go to school and study this, but the people didn't accept me. They didn't think that I could do it. They told me to change my major. I know you told me to walk out in ministry, but the people said, you ain't ordained. You're not licensed. You can't do that.
Right.
But the people. How many of us are looking around at people and using that as a reason for why we're not doing what God told us to do? God told us to do something. And we look at the people. Even this is one of the ways the devil defeats us too. We look at the people who are already doing what God told us to do.
Right.
They ain't said nothing to you. They ain't told you to not try. Like there's types of people where they're trying to talk you out of it. And then there's times where people they don't even know you in the room. And you are jealous of them. You are being intimidated by them. You are being paralyzed because of them.
Right.
I have people say this thing all the time, and it's so true. You ever go to the bread aisle in the grocery store? How many types of bread is there?
A lot.
And it didn't stop the last person from deciding I'm going to make a brand of bread.
Right. Sure didn't.
Another place I see that all the time is the hair aisle.
Yeah.
All types of edge control, all types of shampoos, all types of conditioners.
Mm-hmm.
If we look at who's already doing it, we'll never do it.
Yeah, didn't do anything.
Now, I'm also intrigued, right? Because when it says, but the people living there, and one of the reasons that we often think about them as spies is because they didn't go in there very boldly. They didn't say, hey, y'all know we came to take over. You know, I'm sure they infiltrated and matriculated into the society in a way that did not cause alarm. Right? Because they had already been having successes. And we know that when we get into Joshua, because Rahab tells the story about what they already heard about the children of Israel. Right? So they matriculate in a way that doesn't cause alarm. Mm-hmm. So the people aren't even thinking about them being there. Because if they had been thinking about them, they would have done something to stop them from being there in the first place, which is what happens when we get into Joshua. So this is, again, another example of how the people are stopping them. The people don't even know that they're there.
Don't even know.
So if you are letting people who don't even know you exist stop you, shame on you. Mm-hmm. You haven't tried because of people who are already in the way. Now, they not sitting there actively trying to work against you, actively trying to discourage you. Mm-hmm. They don't even know that you're there, and you letting them stop you. Mm-hmm. So here they come, as the Bible again tells us, giving this evil report. And it says, yeah, but the people living there are powerful. So the people are powerful. Right. And then they say the cities are large and very defended. So the people living there, the cities living there, the type of walls that they got up, that they start going through all of these reasons why they can't do it. Right. Which again was never the assignment. Right. The assignment was go look at it. Mm-hmm. Not go assess it and see if you can take it. Right. So they say the cities are large. And it says, and we even saw some Anakites. I love that phrase there where it says, we even saw. Like, they just going to add on to it. The people were powerful. The cities were large. The cities were defended. And there were some Anakites. Y'all just going to lay it on thick. Is that what we doing? Like, it's just... And they weren't lying. Right. That's facts. But here's the question that I'm curious about. Why were the facts about the city, the people, the Anakites more impactful than the fruit that they brought back? Mm-hmm. And why was the fruit not as real as the city? Mm-hmm. Why was the type of wall more proof of what we couldn't than the proof that they brought back? It said that the bunches of grapes were so big that two men had to carry it. Right. I ain't never had that much grapes.
I ain't never had one grape that looked like that.
Right? Like the bag of grape, that wouldn't even fit in our refrigerators. Nah. If two men had to put it on a pole, and that's how they carried the Ark of the Covenant, right? They carried stuff this way. So the fruit was as large as you said the city was. Mm-hmm. How was that not more impactful than what you saw in the walls? Shake your heart. Mm-hmm. Is there doubt in your heart? Mm-hmm. Or is there courage in your heart? Now, I love it because they like passing the fruit around and people getting to enjoy it and taste it. Like, here, look at this. Mm-hmm. But why they can't even eat the fruit? Because I'm now fearful because you're telling me about Anakites. Mm-hmm. And Amalekites? Wait. Mm-hmm. Right. Let me put this fruit down. Mm-hmm. This fruit ain't even good no more. Right. Because Amalekites are there. Mm-hmm. The Hittites too?
Not just them.
The Jebusites?
Right.
Ooh, the Amorites?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The conversation that they're having is getting worse. It's going down.
It's going south.
It's going down. And what I thank God for is in the middle of this horror story, this fear narrative, this fear mongering that's starting here. Caleb says, hold up, stop.
Yeah.
He has to stop their conversation because it's going so poorly.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he sees the ripple effect among the people as he's watching them. Now, here's the thing. 2 people, and in this case, 12 people, all have the same experience, but come back with different stories about their experience. Right? They all go to the same place, but they experience it differently.
Yeah.
Right? There's this phrase called where it says, "Don't yuck my yum." Yuck. Yum. Don't yuck my yum. So I'll give you an example. Watermelon is so good. Y'all see him yuck it?
Yuck.
Y'all see him yuck that? Right? And that was so like, like, I love it, but you hate it. Right? Man, peanuts are so good. Y'all see that yuck? So when that saying says, "Don't yuck my yum," Caleb and Joshua came back with a yum. The other 10 came back with a yuck. Yeah, the fruit's good, but you can't enjoy the fruit because you're going to be getting squashed by these giants. But Caleb has not only enough wherewithal, he has enough courage to be like, "Y'all shut up." And we read it in the different translations. He quieted. He told them to be quiet. And he says, "Listen, we should go up at once.
Yep.
We can take this." Now, one of the things as we move into our close for tonight to consider is who's on your squad.
Yeah.
Right? So when you think about, it's March Madness, we've been, playing with this theme around, basketball and things like that, right? Who's on your squad? It matters who is on your team. If you're going to get after it, it matters. So I told you before in verses 5 through 16 is where they list each name of the people who went to spy it out. What that reads like to me is when the basketball game is getting ready to start and they list the names, or they put, especially like on the TV where the graphic comes up, it's their picture and their name and their stats or the tape, right? Or even when you're in the game, you see them come out and they call their name, and right? So you see, this is the squad. This is a squad that they assembled to go to assess the land. This is their big dance. This is their NCAA. This is the Super Bowl. This is the Olympics. This is the dream team. These are the people they assembled. And it said to pick elders from the tribe. So these just weren't anybody's in the tribe. So it probably made sense of why they picked the individuals that they picked.
Right.
Which is a word right there. Because everybody we think is wonderful may not have what it takes to assist you in getting after it. They might have all kind of credentials. They might have all kind of pedigree. They might have all kinds of things. And I love when people say, on paper, he looks really good. Right? On paper, they looked good. But when it came down to it, in verses 28 and 29, it showed who they really were. So verses 5 through 16 tells us who they were.
Mm-hmm.
Who's on your squad? When you think about getting after it, who are you teaming up with to go after the things of God? When you think about your dreams and visions and goals and purpose, who's on your squad? Who are you teaming up with?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have what it takes? I remember I used to say all the time, and now we'll use another name. Like I used to say this about Michael Jordan, but we'll say this about LeBron James and, other people. If I was on the team with LeBron James, I would not be tripping. If I was on Steph Curry's team, I wouldn't be tripping. If I'm on the team that has to face LeBron, I might be concerned. Right? If I'm playing the Warriors and I know I got to go up against Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Clay Livingston, like if I know I got to go against the Splash Brothers, I might be a little concerned. Who's on your team?
It matters.
And as we read on Sunday in Joshua 1, he says, God says to Joshua, I will not leave you. I will not abandon you. I will be with you wherever you go.
Mm-hmm.
So if I know who's on my team,
Mm-hmm.
why would I be afraid to go?
Right.
Now, Caleb knew who was on this team.
Right.
That's why he was able to be like, y'all, I look.
You sound like Bianca.
I don't feel like he was hood like that. Like, we ain't about to do that today. Right? He knew who was on his team.
Mm-hmm.
He knew. Not only did he know what God said, he knew who they were.
Right.
You don't even see where Caleb says, the Lord has given us the land, we can go.
Right.
He said, we should go up because we can take that land.
Easily.
And I can imagine he's standing there looking at all the millions of people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know who we saw,
Right.
but I know what I see.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, they was tall. It was a lot of them. But have you read our record lately?
Mm-hmm.
Because there were millions of Israelites.
Mm-hmm.
There were millions in Egypt. Not to count the millions that were born in the 40 years
In the 40
that
years.
they was in the wilderness. It's almost like Caleb was saying to them, did y'all forget who we are?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you... One of the things I say often when people be trying me, I be like, Google me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I had a little boy who was reluctant to come to therapy. And so I had to get with him a little bit. I said, why should I have to come talk to you? I said, Google me and find out. Because I know who I am. Right. And I know why you should come. Mm-hmm. Why you should be glad that you get to come.
Right.
And talk to me. Caleb had that. There was no Google back then, but Caleb had that. Check my receipts.
Mm-hmm.
Check our receipts.
Mm-hmm.
We are well able.
Yeah.
We can do it.
Mm-hmm.
It matters who's on your squad. Because Joshua was the other one who spoke up. Right?
Mm-hmm.
2-10.
Right.
Now, obviously 10 outnumbered the 2, and the report of the 10 weighed more heavily on the people and influenced the people. Mm-hmm. If you the only one in your circle who believes, you're going to have some trouble.
Yeah.
It's going to be real important to trade out some people, just like we see in the teams. They trade, they move around. Like, I'm going to take 1 for 2. We're going to give you 2 of them just to get that 1.
Right.
Because we know what that 1 brings. Mm-hmm. Right? So may the Lord show us who is on our team, in our environment, that are not speaking belief, that are not speaking faith, that are not action oriented, that are not get after it type of people.
Yeah.
And may he send us more people who have the spirit of Caleb, who have the spirit of Joshua. And the Bible says later, it says Caleb had an excellent spirit. Another way to look at that says he had a different spirit. May the Lord send us people who have a different spirit.
Different spirit.
Who have a get after it in their spirit. Because it matters who's on your squad.
Absolutely does.
And the other thing that we have to pay attention to is that I heard somebody say this, and it was so important to really bring into this moment. There is an environment of belief. So it's not just the people, but the environment that is created when we believe.
Yeah.
That's why Jesus said, if 2 of y'all or 3 of y'all can get together and agree about something or concerning anything or touching anything, I'll be in the midst. So the agreement is the environment that's needed for Jesus to even get in and do something. If you're going to get after it, your environment matters.
Yep, it sure does.
Let me use this example here. You don't play basketball on a tennis court.
Right.
The environment matters. Right? You don't play basketball on golf
On the football field.
turf or right? The ball's not even going to bounce on the grass.
Nope.
So there's a certain environment for certain actions.
Right.
There are environments in which winning happens, and winning happens in environments of belief. Right? We read in January, these signs shall follow them that believe. Now, what we see in this Numbers, the 12th chapter, was that there was an environment of unbelief.
Absolutely was.
And I imagine that of the millions of people listening, there was some people like, wait, I thought we could do this.
Right.
I thought God said. But even when you get into the 14th chapter of Numbers, you see where it says the people wailed and cried and just, why did God bring us here? We had graves in Egypt, and Moses, he don't care. But like the environment of unbelief became so overwhelming.
Yeah.
It became so overwhelming that God got angry. Because remember, he didn't send them there to assess if they could do it.
Right.
He sent them there to see what he was already doing. But in the environment of unbelief, then they got into sin. And Hebrews 4 tells us, don't be like them. They heard the same word, but they didn't mix it with faith. So if we're going to get after it, we're going to have to mix the word that we hear when we hear it with faith. We got to do our part. What's my part? Go fight? Nope. My part is to mix it with faith. God speaks the word. I got to mix it with faith. I got to mix it with faith. That's my part. And he said, but the word didn't profit. This is Hebrews 4. It said the word didn't profit them anything because they didn't mix it with faith. And so God got angry and he says, I promise they not going. I was watching Coach Carter the other day, and have you seen it?
Yeah.
And it's the part where they had snuck out to go to the party, and he was mad, and he went to go pick him, and just while he was on the bus and he was giving them that lecture, and it just reminds me of how often like people be doing right, and then they go crazy, and then now he got to be yelling at y'all just won the championship. Now y'all on punishment because you can't act right. God got mad. It was like, y'all not going. You know, he put for a different reason. He put the locks on the gym. And it was like, until y'all get yourselves together, we not playing. God's like, y'all ain't going nowhere. And in fact, you're going to stay in this wilderness until all the people who did not believe die. Except for, this you can keep reading this, except for Caleb and Joshua. Because Caleb had a different spirit. Who's on your squad matters.
It matters.
Do you have voices that create doubt and unbelief? Are you a voice that creates doubt and unbelief? Do you let people influence you when they have a voice of doubt and unbelief? Or are you a Caleb? Are you a Caleb who can say, I don't want to hear all that. I don't need no doubters. Because I know what we can do. I know what God said. We can do this now. I love it. He said, we can do it now. We ain't even got to wait. What we have right now is enough to do it. And some of us need to know that what we have right now is enough to get it done. You're thinking, when I get this X amount of dollars, I'll be able to start. When I get this career, when I lose this amount of weight, when I get married. No, what you have right now is enough to get it done. They're scared of you as is. So imagine what they'll be thinking when you get to a higher place that you think you need to be. They scared now. You have enough right now to get it done. Caleb said, oh, no, we can do it now. I'm going to say this last part and we're going to wrap up. The name Caleb means dog. And in my mind, I don't see like a little teacup poodle. Like I see this like pit bull, this lock in, tenacious. I'm gonna get it. I'm a dog this down. I'm not gonna let it go. Once I get it in my grasp, I'm in. It's locked in. You just gonna have to go ahead and say goodbye to this leg, cause I got it. Caleb was a dog. He was like, we can do this now. Easily. Right? Not only can we do it, we can do it now, and we can do it easily. Hear that. God is saying to you, you can do it now. And you can do it with ease. Some people haven't done it because it's hard, but God says to you, get after it. You can get after it now. You can get after it easily. It's not going to be a big lift for you. It's not going to be hard. And to jump ahead, right, to tell the end of the story, a little spoiler alert, the first place they went and defeated, they ain't fight nobody. They were quiet for 7 days. So it wasn't like, well, we got to train, get our military up. We've been in Egypt all this time. We don't have no army. We don't have a military. We don't have weapons. Well, you didn't need it anyway. How did y'all win? We hollered. We screamed. You mean y'all didn't have cannons? You didn't have catapults? You didn't have... We screamed.
That's it.
No wonder Caleb said, we can do it now. The dog said, we can do it now. So as we close and as we get into this next week, remember, you can do it. You can do it now. And you can do it easily.
The greatest of ease.
So there is no reason for us not to get after it. Amen. So as we've been talking, the youth are getting after it. They are getting after it next week in March the 17th through the 19th. The youth are getting after it. And the Make Room conference, we're going to be in person Friday night at 7:30 at 508 State Street. And then we have workshops and classes Saturday starting at 11 o'clock. And then Sunday at the Wave, the youth are going to be getting after it. So there'll be praise dancing, singing. We have a guest. Some of y'all may know Brother Haas from down in the Jersey area. He's going to be with us. We have a guest worship leader on Sunday evening. The youth are dancing. The youth are ministering. The youth are getting after it. So once again, if the youth are getting after it, what excuse do those of us who are older have to not do what God says? And here's the thing. When God got mad at them, he said everybody who's 21 and over cannot go. Only the youth and Joshua and Caleb got to go. So not only did they won with kids.
Basically, yeah.
So that's why we're making room for the kids to come forth, because whatever God's doing in this season, I don't want him to do it without me. So if he's in this next generation, we gonna get behind them and we gonna support them. So we'll be in person this Sunday at the Wave, but plan for the 17th through the 19th. Be with us. We'll be in prayer on Saturday, 8 p.m. every Saturday. We're gonna be right back here next Thursday getting after it. We love you all so much.
Yes.
And remember, you can do it. You can do it now, and you can do it easily.
Thank you.